Go ahead, make a rap for your naughty. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your naughty. Spin the rack on through.
Oh my God, that video's terrible. That video's terrible. Where's the class? Where's the elegance of the New York City mayor?
The current possible frontrunner in the race for New York City mayor is a person named Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani was a founder of a local chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine, because that's who he is. He co-founded his school's chapter while at college at Bowdoin. For years, according to National Review, Mamdani has been a vocal supporter of the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement designed to academically and intellectually isolate Israelis and Zionist Jews from Western scientific discourse. In 2017, he recorded a rap song sending his love to the Holy Land Five. Those would be the leaders of the Holy Land Foundation for Relief and Development, convicted in 2008 of providing material support for terrorism to Hamas.
Sounds like a hell of a guy.
And when October 7th happened, he called for ending the occupation and dismantling apartheid. Nothing about the actual victims of October 7th. This is the person who, according to the brand new Emerson polling, is the front runner in the ranked choice voting in the New York Democratic primary tracking. Again, according to Emerson, the final Emerson College polling, Hill survey of New York City Democratic mayoral primary, which happens today, finds former Governor Andrew Cuomo leading with 35% support, followed closely by Zohran Mamdani at 32%. Comptroller Brad Lander, who got himself arrested over immigration to try and grab some headlines, is at 13%. However, when you actually complete the ranked choice voting, and again, the way ranked choice voting works is that you have a list of candidates, and you actually list them in order of preference. And if your top candidate is, say, Brad Lander, and your second candidate is Zohran Mamdani, and Lander gets knocked out in the first round, then your vote now counts for Mamdani. So the ranked choice voting simulation over 8 rounds ends with Mamdani at 52% and Cuomo at 48%. Spencer Kimball, executive director of Emerson College Polling, says, quote, over 5 months, Mamdani's support has surged from 1 to 32%, while Cuomo finishes near where he began. In the ranked choice simulation, Mamdani gains 18 points compared to Cuomo's 12, putting him ahead in the final round for the first time in an Emerson poll.
The fact that his support is on the rise is absolutely fucked up. The fact that the most Jewish-dominated city in the United States is going to be run by a mayor that's anti-Jewish, anti-Israel, anti-West, anti-America is absurd. It's a huge risk to New York. And if he gets elected, you'll see it with your own eyes.
Voters who have already cast their ballots during New York City's early voting period break for Mamdani. He currently holds a 10-point lead over Cuomo, 41% to 31%. In contrast, among those who plan to vote on Election Day or have not yet voted at the time of the survey, Cuomo leads with 36%, followed by Mamdani at 31%. This is how psychotic Democrats have become. This is a Democratic primary, of course. The current mayor, Eric Adams, is not running as a Democrat. He is running as an independent. Zohran Mamdani is as radical as is possible to be. He's a full-scale communist. I say that advisedly. The word communist has a meaning. This is a man who has taken full-scale nationalization of the groceries positions. And when it comes to the Middle East, again, I say, President Trump has made it so that Democrats will now embrace legitimately the worst people on earth. Zohran Mamdani is one of these people, and he has nothing but love for all the enemies of the United States. So, how did he respond to the news that President Trump had struck the Iranian nuclear facilities? Quote, these actions are the result of a political establishment that would rather spend trillions of dollars on weapons than lift millions out of poverty, launch endless wars while silencing calls for peace, and fearmonger about outsiders while billionaires hollow out our democracy from within. Andrew Cuomo, by contrast, said, quote, Iran cannot have a nuclear capability. That's number one. It's dangerous, not only for the region, it's dangerous internationally. It's dangerous for the United States.
Sounds like my type of candidate.
So, again, that is a rather large contrast, and Mamdani is the one with the vast bulk of the momentum at this point. So, who the hell is Zohran Mamdani? Well, originally, he was a failed rapper. I speak here advisedly since I am, of course, a very successful rapper. But Zohran Mamdani is a failed rapper. He went by Mr. Cardamom when he was cutting his rap. Here is one of his early rap videos, and Democrats in New York believe this person should be mayor. this spoiled brat, beneficiary of America at every possible level, who believes that America is deeply evil, exploitative, and genocidal in its pursuit of foreign policy. This one should become mayor of New York.
Go ahead, make a rap for your naughty. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your naughty. Spin the rack. Come through.
I mean, so that's not good. He should not be mayor just because he made that video.
Oh my God, that video's terrible. That video's terrible. Where's the class? Where's the elegance of the New York City mayor? Where is that?
But that was not his only video. He also rapped about, all the crazy things he supports.
Sahar, my love to the Holy Land fight. You better look 'em up. Band, no wall, build it up, we'll make it fall.
No ban, no wall. Build it up, we'll make it fall. And there he was expressing his love for the Holy Land Five, who are, of course, terror supporters convicted in federal court. Remember, this is the city that experienced 9/11. This is a city where 3,000 Americans were murdered by Islamic terrorists, and now they want to elect to the mayoralty. Democrats do, apparently, according to the polling data. They would like to elect a person who has sympathy for terrorism, like tremendous sympathy for terrorism. But that's not the only reason that he's nuts. He also openly says that he is fighting for socialism.
Where we have to make it very clear that people cannot eat words. People need to have actual food. People need to have actual houses to live in. People need to have actual schools that they can go to. And I think it's so critical that this journey into understanding the way in which we should relate to power, this journey in understanding that it is socialism that we are fighting for, is a journey that should begin as soon as possible for every single person in this country and in this world.
Socialism they're fighting for. And it's deep thoughts like you can't eat words. That does lead to nationalization and government control of the means of production, and generally the slaughter of millions of people. So probably that person should be mayor. Also, the kind of person who should be mayor is the kind of person who believes that the New York Police Department should be removed from high crime areas, a contention he made just a couple of years ago.
If you're having an argument with someone and there's a risk of it escalating, who is better positioned to de-escalate it? Someone who is well known in the community, or someone who has been trained specifically in de-escalation, or a stranger who has a gun? And we see so many situations where encounters with police, the police arrive and all of a sudden the tension rises even astronomically.
What is he talking about? I've seen many instances where the police know exactly how to de-escalate, and if you present it this way, a man with a gun. They are trained to de-escalate. That's what they're trained for. They're trained to pull the trigger only once it escalates to a point of no return, to a point of true risk for their lives. I mean,
the answer is to try and find a non-carceral solution.
Absolutely.
Community service, something where, they learn from their mistakes. There's a sense of accountability and growth, all these kinds of things, which for many people in this country, especially black people, are not offered the same opportunity.
Are you for defunding the police? Are you for a serious reform that people can see on the ground?
I am in favor of defunding the police.
oh my God, and you want this guy to be elected as mayor? What in the actual world? This guy? He wants to defund the police in New York City, a city of crime. Who is going to take care of it?
And they want to make this one mayor. He wants to defund the police. Don't worry, it gets worse. Again, unbelievable, except that it's all too believable. The young Democrats, the most rabid Democrats out there, believe that the traditional Democratic Party has not done enough to push the country in a wild leftward direction. They believe that Joe Biden was actually too right-wing, that Kamala Harris was too moderate, that what you need is full-scale transing of the children, full-scale support for terrorist organizations, at least rhetorically, a cutoff to all of America's allies on the foreign policy front, that you need to undercut the police and make it absolutely unlivable to live in America's major cities, that universities should essentially just be breeding grounds for radicalism. Here was Zohran Mamdani, again, your polling frontrunner in the New York City Democratic primary for mayor, defending the Columbia University protesters who were tearing up the campus.
I think these students have actually forced many of us to reckon with what's happening there, because for too many Americans, this has been something that is actually getting out of view. An example is that when students renamed the hall in Columbia from Hamilton Hall to Hind Hall, they were honoring a 6-year-old Palestinian girl who was killed in her car watching as her parents had been killed by the Israeli military prior. And for so many Americans, that was a name that they hadn't heard until these students made it one.
So apparently, according to him, the Columbia University students, as they illegally took over the quad and broke windows and took over libraries and prevented people from actually being able to learn at the campuses, they were doing an amazing job. And by the way, if it were up to him, there wouldn't be any police to respond to calls to stop the criminality anyway.
Yeah.
In fact, he believes that the New York City Police Department and the IDF share tactics of oppression.
It's also that our city and state governments have partnerships with Israeli municipalities and the state, and that we can hold our governments accountable by really going after those partnerships and really spotlighting them and with the goal of dismantling them. I think that when I think of partnerships, I think of how the NYPD and the IDF have had a relationship for many years. A relationship that has meant, tactics of oppression crossing from one country to the other.
I mean, this is the kind of person, again, it beggars the imagination, but it really doesn't. Because, of course, Democrats have elected Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago, he of the 9% approval rating, who has decided that police work is actually just too much for him, and so instead he'll let the city completely fall apart. Democrats elected in Los Angeles Karen Bass, who's presided over not one massive fire, but two, given the riots that broke into conflagrations just a couple of weeks ago. Democrats continue in major cities around America to at least put their money where their mouth is. And so, I got to hand it to them. At least they're doing the thing. Really, if they want to live by this radical credo, at least they're doing it. Again, I have a basic rule, and it's the same as H.L. Mencken's. Democracy is the theory that people get what they deserve, get what they vote for, good and hard. And so if the people of New York want this, you know what? Good. I think they ought to feel it. I'm kind of rooting for Zohran Mamdani, to be honest with you, because if Democrats wish to embrace all of this, well, then let them. And listen, I have a lot of friends who live in New York. I know there are a lot of people who are just trying to earn a living, have a good life in New York. Maybe it's time to leave. When you're surrounded by nuts, maybe it's time to leave. How nuts is Zohran Mamdani? He literally called for city-owned grocery stores because he believes that it's the profit motive that is, quote-unquote, starving Americans. This is just psychotic stuff.
We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you.
What in the world? First of all, is he selling a used car? Pass on those savings to you. The profit motive in American grocery stores is what has created the vast bevy of goods at American grocery stores. Quite famously, when Khrushchev came to the United States in the 1950s, and he met with Richard Nixon, who was the vice president of the United States, and he saw the wide bevy and variety of goods that were available for Americans, he was stunned. And that was true for every Soviet who came to the United States. Cuban emigres who escaped the Cuban oppression under Castro would go to grocery stores and be blown away at the kinds of things that are available. But Zohran Mamdani somehow thinks that is the bug, not the feature of American public life. He's also the kind of person who yells at Tom Homan over immigration. Like, this is what Democrats want. If this is what Democrats want, they should get it.
How many more New Yorkers? How many more New Yorkers will you detain? How many more New Yorkers without charge? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan?
Just absolute performative trash. But again, he saves his best performances for when he's called an anti-Semite, because of course he is. Here he was just the other day, shedding crocodile tears over being called an anti-Semite after suggesting that the state of Israel should be disestablished as a Jewish state.
I get messages that say the only good Muslim is a dead Muslim. I get threats on my life. On the people that I love. And I try not to talk about it, because the function of racism, as Toni Morrison said, is distraction. My focus has always been on the people that I love. And I try not to talk about it, because the function of racism, as Toni Morrison said, is distraction. My focus has always been on the people that I love. And I try not to talk about it, because the function of racism, as Toni Morrison said, is distraction. My focus has always been on the people that I love. And I try not to talk about it, because the function of racism, as Toni Morrison said, is distraction. My focus has always been on making this a city that's affordable, on making this a city that every New Yorker sees themselves in. And it takes a toll, because this is a city that every single person deserves to be in. It's a city that we all belong to. And the thing that's made me proudest in this campaign is that the strength of our movement is built on our ability to have built something across Jewish and Muslim New Yorkers, across New Yorkers of all faiths and all backgrounds and all boroughs. And anti-Semitism is such a real issue in the city. And it has been...
Which you are a part of if you are leading the SJP in American colleges. Your Palestinian friends are the reason there's so much hatred towards Jews, because of the bullshit propaganda you release on social media.
Hard to see it weaponized by candidates who do not seem to have any sincere interest in tackling it, but rather in using it as a pretext to make political points.
It's just that if you're worried about anti-Semitism, it's a pretext to make political points, he says. Again, I'm kind of rooting for you guys. New Yorkers, I'm rooting for you today. Today's your big day, New York Democrats. It's your day to finally go whole hog. I know you tried with Bill de Blasio. I know. And he was so terrible that you had to swing back the other way with Mayor Eric Adams. But this is your moment. This is time for you to seize this city and turn it entirely red. Finally live out your principles. Drive every tax-paying citizen from the city of New York. Completely destroy all of the real estate values in the city. Force gigantic businesses out of your city. See how it goes for you. Turn your city into Detroit. See if we down here in Florida care. I'm spending a lot of money buying up all the luxury real estate because I know that the prices are going to be going up as you guys squeeze everyone with half a brain out of your city. Ron DeSantis, for what it's worth, tweeted something very similar yesterday. Governor DeSantis tweeted out, quote, "Just when you thought Palm Beach real estate couldn't go any higher." Yup. There can be a lot of businesses relocating to Florida. That is for sure. And again, Mamdani, Mahmoud Khalil, it's just indicative of so much that's going on internationally across the left.
I am actually with Ben, you know? I hope that the Democrats of New York City will get a taste of their own medicine. If that's what they want, they'll see for themselves what's going to happen. However, that will be the slow rise of Islamic domination in the West. Zohran Mamdani is one, and it will slowly spread. It's a shame. Thank you, Ben Shapiro, for this beautiful video. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I just opened a Discord. If you want to be a part of what's going on, please join. It's in the link in the description. And if you want to support me financially, you can do so using Buy Me Coffee, also in the link in the description. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.